Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's DealerOn webinar, the DealerOn Academy Q4 Automotive Marketing Briefing. My name is Amirrezvani, and I'll be your moderator today. Today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. For anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our amazing SEO, the absolute best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the brand new Chameleon responsive website platform. We're so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that DealerOn is still the only company in the industry that offers a money-back lead guarantee program. So does your website company guarantee you a 50% lift in leads or your money back? Maybe you should check us out at our gorgeous brand new DealerOn website at DealerOn.com. Also want to let you know DealerOn is going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming Digital Dealer Convention in Vegas, baby. If you're going to be there, you got to stop by booth 505 and say hi. We have the best booth around, and while you're getting your digital dealer on, please check out the speaking sessions from these amazing DealerOn executives. Remember, it's booth 505. Can't wait to see you there. And when you stop by our booth, there's lots of fun things that await you there. For instance, you have 2 chances to win an Apple Watch. The contest begins when you stop by our booth and pick up a free DealerOn t-shirt. That's right, we're going to give away an Apple Watch a day. The instructions are on the screen now. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is take a selfie of yourself in the DealerOn t-shirt, use the hashtag DD19 or hashtag GetItOn, and tag us at DealerOn, and you are automatically entered into the contest. You can't miss that. Remember, it's booth 505. Hey, and when you stop over at booth 505, you also have to pick up your pass to what is, of course, the must-attend awesome party. It's the Digital Dealer Dealership Appreciation After Party. It's going to be on Monday night from 8 o'clock to 11 p.m. at Dre's. And yeah, the pass, it's not really so much a pass, it's more like a tattoo. So if you show up with this tattoo someplace on your person, you're going to be able to get in to the Digital Dealer Party you are going to want to be with. Are you ready to party with the big boys? Well, then we'll see you at the 505 for your free tickets. And we have a great show in store for you today. We're very pleased to have members of the DealerOn Executive Team to speak to us today about current automotive marketing updates, industry perspectives, and best practices. Now, this webinar is going to be packed with great information, but it is really designed to be a wholly interactive exchange with all of it dedicated to your questions and our answers. Today, we have a number of DealerOn people here from our leadership team, including Shaun. He's the Vice President of Marketing for DealerOn, and he markets DealerOn's capabilities, extending our reach, and building the right reputation. And Greg Gifford, the one and only. He's our new Director of Search and Social. He's responsible for our comprehensive digital strategies that get dealers noticed online. So you don't want to miss that. If you have questions for them, start typing them in because we're going to get to them soon. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, use that question feature. It's located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, we're going to try to respond to you by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording is also going to be emailed to you later today for your reference. Please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And I already see those questions coming in. That's awesome. And guess what? I got great news for you. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win an awesome prize today. DealerOn is giving away an Amazon Echo. Oh, it's the newly released voice command device from Amazon.com with functions including question answering, playing music, and controlling smart devices. This is the hottest tech device on the market right now, and it could be yours. You have to be on the live broadcast to win it, though, so stay tuned, and you could be the one walking away with this amazing prize today. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. So fill it out because we're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. Today, we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. And hey, do you tweet much? We hope you do. We'd love to see what you have to say about today's presentation. So please tag us in it. You can use hashtag DealerOnWebby. I'm at Amirrezvani. You can also hit us up at Shaun Rains, or Greg Gifford at Greg Gifford. We look forward to seeing what you're saying. So let's get started with the DealerOn Academy Q4 Automotive Marketing Briefing. Let's say hi to the fellas. Shaun, are you there? Shaun Rains?
I'm here. Hello, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. And we also have the Greg Gifford, who I like to call by his rap name, Double G. Double G, you there?
I am here.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, fellas, we already have some great questions that came in, and we also have some people who wrote in that they want to get their hands on that Echo. So pay attention, everyone, and we're going to see who's going to be the one walking away with that awesome prize. All right. Your first question, fellas, if you're ready. You're ready, right?
I don't know.
I think we're ready.
You think you're ready? Okay. First question comes to you from Stacy. Stacy says, what's so different about DealerOn's approach to SEO? Oh, we're going to have to throw that one over to the Double G, Greg Gifford, who is, of course, as I said, our Director of Search and Social. So, G, since you came on with DealerOn, what is so different about DealerOn's approach to SEO? This is for Stacy.
Stacy, the difference is we do it right and everybody else does it wrong. Oh!
Ouch.
Are you sure, Double G?
No, so there's a couple different things in there. One of the big differentiators is that we concentrate on what's called local SEO while most other providers just do traditional SEO. So with local SEO, Google's going to return local results to the search that you're making, whether you enter a city or not. So the best way to kind of see this is if you're doing a search for pizza delivery and you do it there at the dealership, it's going to give you just type in pizza delivery, it's going to give you pizza delivery spots that are right there by the dealership. And then you can go home that night, do the same search for pizza delivery, and it's going to give you results that are by your house. Even though you didn't enter a city, it gives you different results. Because Google knows if you're looking for pizza delivery, you need something local that's going to be able to drive to you. Now, Google treats a lot of different business types with this same kind of local treatment, and it does do this with car dealers. So you have to go above and beyond and do some extra things and include some extra signals to really optimize well to show up in these local searches. And because we're so dialed into local SEO and what works, we do go the extra mile and do the extra signals and the extra things necessary. So, you know, you can get SEO from somebody that's just doing traditional SEO, and that's better than not doing SEO at all. But if you really want to do the best possible thing for your dealership, then you want to get someone that understands and knows local SEO so that they're doing everything they possibly can. And then the other really big differentiator is a lot of the other big providers, who I'm not going to name names, but you know, the big providers that do a lot of websites and SEO work have these giant teams. And so you're going to have one person that's writing the content for your website and another person writing some blogs and maybe a couple people writing blogs. And so a different person's writing content every time. Then another person that comes through and optimizes stuff. And if you're getting social from them, another person's doing social. So it's really disjointed. And the way that we build our team up is each team member owns a specific set of dealerships. So the same person is doing all the work for every part of what we do on your site. So each person will never have more than anywhere from 8 to 10 dealerships at a maximum. So they know your dealership. They talk to you all the time. They understand what makes you unique, what makes you different, how you stand out from your competitors. So when they're writing content or doing social or doing the things that they need to do, they actually know the business that they're working with, as opposed to just being a guy where you're just checking down a list of 5,000 different dealerships or whatever that number is. The other benefit to that is when you call in to either ask questions or go over a report or try to run something by us that you think you might want to try, you're calling the same person every time. And when you call up, that person knows you and understands who you are. You're not just something that they look up in a CRM and read an entry. So those are really the big differentiators for our program and what's different about what we do.
That's huge. Thank you so much, Greg. Keep up the great work. All right, next question. And by the way, Stacy, great question. If you have a follow-up question, please write it on in and let us know. All right, gentlemen, your next question comes to you from Andy. He says, I have a Kia dealership, and I would like to learn more about DealerOn. Who should I contact? Shaun?
Well, that's actually something that we probably should have been a little bit more promotional about on this particular webinar. So
For those of you that have Kia dealerships or just are interested in general, DealerOn is now a certified Kia website and digital marketing provider. We're really happy about that, very proud about that fact.
When did that happen?
So
that's recent, right?
Yeah, very recent. Press releases have been going out this week, so it's been something that we've had to kind of keep to ourselves for a little while, but now it's official. And similar to our involvement with Volkswagen and BMW, we're part of a select group, a small group, instead of it being a complete mandate to dealers so that you have to use this and only this solution, even if you hate it. We're not really interested in those types of initiatives. We're part of a select group, so you can kind of compare us to others, some of our other competitors out there, and find out why we're better, and then you can sign up with us. But as far as the Kia stuff, I'll make it simple for you because there is already information that you can go through the manufacturer and find things online. But to speak, you probably already have done that, and that's why you're asking the question, I'm guessing. So write down my email address. It's super simple, Shaun, S-H-A-U-N, not W, S-H-A-U-N, @DealerOn.com. And just send me an email, and I'll connect you with the Kia team on our side, because I'm guessing you probably now have heard about it, you've probably seen some of the collateral, and you have other questions or you want to go a little bit deeper. So for you, and if there's anybody else that has a Kia store that has interest in that and getting information, send me that email, and I'll funnel that to the team on our side and make sure that we get in touch with you.
Excellent. All right, Andy. Good luck, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Okay, your next question, gentlemen, comes to you from Bruce. Bruce says, are there any plans to give our mobile shoppers the ability to view a slideshow of our vehicles direct from the SRP pages? It seems the mobile shoppers do not want to bounce in and out of VDP pages and want to do more from the SRP pages. I guess that's for Greg, right? This is from Bruce.
That's a question for me.
Oh, no, it isn't?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an SEO thing, so I wouldn't really know how to answer what's on the development plan. Sorry.
Well, that's one. I can take that, Eliana.
Oh, okay.
So,
Apology.
It would be great if actually Mike DeVito, who runs our whole development team, was able to make the call today, but in their preparation for not just the weather that's hitting out there and trying to figure out how to get to Digital Dealer, a couple of them are not able to be on the call. So that particular question is really a good one for us to, instead of us to like try to blow some smoke out of our, wahoo, is that we'll take that to Mike, and if we can capture Bruce's contact information, we'll find out where that's at on the roadmap. Because Greg and I both probably don't know that, but I do know this: the whole development team is constantly, especially Mike. He's actually speaking about mobile at Digital Dealer next week. He will absolutely have an answer to that question. So I'm sorry we can't answer it right now live, but it would basically sound like us trying to talk out of both sides of our face, and we don't want to do that. So let's capture that. We'll get with DeVito and get back to you on that.
Bruce, thank you for the great question. We do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you at Digital Dealer and we can get that answer for you then, okay? Carolina wrote in, are there supposed to be slides? Great question, Carolina. This is actually completely 100% interactive webinar today. It is completely your questions, asking the guys from DealerOn and getting their answers. So actually, guys, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you turn on your webcams if you can? I don't know if you have webcams or not, but that way they can see you. Let's go on to our next question, if you guys are ready. Okay.
Ready.
All right. Our next question comes to you from Lisa. Lisa says, I've seen Greg Gifford in person and attended his webinars. Oh, Lisa, you're a lucky girl. How long does it take you to make those movie slides?
You don't even want to know. How do
What
you
a great question.
The answer to this question? At a basic level, okay, well, there's two different, I guess, routes that I would have to take. I don't ever reuse slide decks, so every time I do a presentation, it's a brand new presentation, but I will reuse themes between different conferences. So like if I go to Digital Dealer and do comedy movies. I won't do comedy movies at Digital Dealer ever again, but I will do comedy movies at an SEO conference or at a lawyer's conference or whatever other conference I might be speaking at. So if I've already done that theme once and I already have the big list of movies and all of the images ready, then it probably takes me about 8 hours per 20 minutes of presentation. Every slide in my deck is a JPEG that I create in Photoshop, so I have to pull in the movies and put in the slides and do all that. So it takes about, for a 20-minute presentation, 8 hours. A 40-minute presentation, like I'm doing on Monday at Digital Dealer, is about 16 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Now, if I have to start from scratch, which I did have to do for Digital Dealer, because this time around the title of my presentation is the 6 Degrees of Automotive SEO. So for those of you that are kind of movie nerds, you kind of get the reference to Kevin Bacon there, so it's going to be all Kevin Bacon movies. So whenever it is a new theme, I have to decide what the theme is. Then I have to go and come up with a list of every possible movie that fits that theme. And then I have to go try to find all the images that I can for that theme. So with Kevin Bacon, it's easy. There's like 78 movies that he's been in. But if I'm talking something like comedy or sci-fi or horror or westerns, then I have to go, I typically will try to do at least one movie for every year in the last 50 years. So I have to come up with a list of every movie that fits that genre for every year in the last 50 years. And I have to pull more than I'm going to need because you never know what pictures you're going to be able to get or which ones are going to work or be family appropriate. So then I have to go get a list of, say, like when I did comedy movies, I had a list of 300 and something movies. Then I have to go download all the images, so I end up with 500 or 600 images. Then I have to figure out which ones are my jokey ones.
Okay, I got it.
Then I do the outline. It takes forever. So from scratch, well, great example. The webinar that I did for DealerOn recently was the 85 tips for local SEO.
Awesome webinar, by the way. If you missed it, you missed a great one. You can find it at dealeron.com/webinars and go to our archives.
That one took me probably 40 to 42 hours to do a 1-hour webinar.
Wow.
So it's a big commitment.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, inside the mind of a mad scientist right there. But Greg Gifford, I got to tell you, we really appreciate it. No one gives great webinar like you. Thank you so much. Your slide decks are the best, and you are definitely a genius. Okay, by the way, Jeff says, awesome Freddy figure in the background there, Greg. Haha.
You got to see this, though. This is my best one. It's my Greg Gifford bobblehead that I got for speaking at a conference in Canada. Check that out.
That is awesome. It really does look like you.
I can't have baffled there. Like, that's pretty crazy, right?
By the way, with both of you on webcam, I don't know, are we having a beard off? I wish only
the people could compete. Come on.
Oh my God, Shaun has one too. That's awesome.
Also, for speaking in Canada, apparently if you do presentations in Canada, they make bobbleheads of you.
Shout out to Wheeze.
Oh my God, I'm crying over here. Okay, well, speaking of great fun, Christopher wrote in a great question. He says, contests and giveaways. Do contests, win a TV, or giveaways, buy a car and get a TV, work to increase sales? Would you consider that a best practice? Shaun, what do you think?
Some of them do. You're really trying to jump on a trend of a hot product, right? Those Apple iPad giveaways were really popular through social media campaigns for a while. So they can, but you also have a majority of people who just want whatever free crap you're going to give away. It really depends on what your strategy is from a marketing perspective of why you're using an incentive like a prize giveaway. You'll get some, but it's think of whatever kind of lost lead you're going to use, whether it's giving away a free product or a super discount or $88 a month on a car. However you're trying to get people in, you're trying to get people in. So statistically, you're going to find that a lot of people will want the free stuff, and they won't necessarily be a serious car buyer. But you also have to think about, well, sometimes getting people into your communication rotation, being able to have them captured as a person that you can begin to follow up with, and then strategically, if you have really smart campaigns that don't overwhelm and basically piss people off by over-communicating to them, if you get somebody in, it's kind of like getting a lead from the fair, right? a lot of dealers will be like, oh yeah, we got leads from the fair, but they're kind of, they're not serious. They're just at the fair eating a corn dog and they saw the new whatever and they think that's cool. If you follow up with those people the right way, right, you keep them in a communication rotation that is, they're not a serious buyer, but you want to work them towards that, then there's value to it. But it definitely is hit or miss.
Great question, Christopher. Thank you so much for that. And by the way, I want to let everyone know we have a ton of questions in from the audience now. So keep them coming. We're going to try and get through as many of them as possible. All right, gentlemen. Next question comes to you from Steve. Steve says, how does DealerOn prioritize SEO ranking factors? Greg, I know that one's for you. That's from Steve.
So yeah, if you come see me speak on Monday, you will find out. There's your answer.
Oh, what if he doesn't? What if he's not going to Digital Dealer? Can you help the guy out?
Moz, actually I'm wearing my Moz shirt today. Moz does a yearly local search ranking factor study where they take the top 40 people worldwide in local SEO, and they send us all this big long questionnaire because nobody knows what's in Google's algorithm except Google. But if you talk to the experts that are doing this day in and day out, we all know what's going to work if you tweak one thing here, one thing there. So then Moz aggregates all of these answers and comes out with their local search ranking factor study every year. And the 2015 local search ranking factor study was just released last week. And so whenever these studies come out, that's what we base our program off of. So we know from this study every year, these are the most important signals that matter for local search. These are the particular weights of each signal. And this is what's important, and these are the factors that weigh in on how your site's going to rank. And so we pretty much base it off of that.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, Steve, great question. Keep those great questions coming. Your next question, gentlemen, comes to you from Melissa. She says, what are some ideas for getting the sales staff more involved in social media? Shaun, is that for you?
Mm-hmm.
That's from Melissa.
Beware. Beware.
Wait, do you want your sales staff more involved in social media, I guess is another question.
Well, the answer to that would be absolutely yes. But how to get them more involved? It actually starts with when you hire them. Most dealerships are not asking the right questions, and they don't have the right criteria set up when they're actually bringing people on board, especially in a sales capacity. We're not asking them questions like, what CRM tools have you used? Which ones do you hate, right? If they tell you, well, I hate this one, great. What experience do you have with social media? There's a lot of questions we should ask. So I would say that that's where you need to start, is make sure that your process of onboarding people in your sales department, that they know what your expectations are, that you would have a written social media policy of what they need to follow. But I'm a big fan of getting them involved in general. How to get them involved? Well, part of that is sometimes just actually being candid and kind of sharing information, but you always have to make sure, especially with salespeople, and for those of you salespeople that are listening in, you have to always make sure that you tell salespeople not to cross the creepy line, right?
Where's the creepy line?
The creepy line is using Facebook.
Go look at Shaun's Facebook, that'll tell you.
That's right. You'll see an attractive person come into the dealership, and then you go back out and find them on Facebook, and you send them a message, because you don't have to be their friend to send them a message. And you say, or you find them on Twitter, whatever, you find them on social media. Hey, this is Shaun from the dealership, and just wanted to find out if you'd like to have dinner sometime.
Oh.
It sounds like a joke, but I've heard way too many stories, real, true stories, of dealerships that have had those types of situations happen. So you definitely want a written policy of what your expectations are. But in terms of getting them involved, the first place is to gauge if they're actually using social media right now anyway. We have a lot of people that sell in retail automotive that don't use social media really effectively personally. So unless they don't have to be an expert, but unless they are spending time on social media on a regular basis, you may have to train them, right? And now you have to ask yourself the question of, what's the value of training car salespeople that don't really have any social media experience, how to use it in a way to generate sales or create deeper relationships? Is there value? There is value, but now you're looking for people that can actually train that. And you might, a person that asked the question, maybe you have that ability yourself, and you could sit down and develop a training to walk your salespeople through what the expectations are, but it must be documented. So start with a process, a social media policy and a process, and then begin to make sure that you're gauging their interest, their ability, right, their capability of using social media, and then absolutely make it in black and white what your expectations would be from them. Hope that's helpful. Greg might have a couple thoughts.
Yeah, and absolutely make sure that you do not have a sales guy go set up his own Facebook page for the dealership where it would be like Jim Bob's Ford, Shaun Rain salesman on the dealership, because that causes a ton of citation problems, and plus anything like that, they're completely separate from the dealership, but they're representing the dealership, and so that's really, really bad. You've got to be very careful when you're letting salespeople or anybody at the dealership post on Facebook as a representative of the dealership, because spelling errors, bad grammar, any of that stuff can be really, really, really bad for the reputation of your dealership. So you, like he said, it needs to be really black and white what they can and can't do and what your expectations are, and you need to be very clear that anything that they do needs to be through their own personal account, or if you give them access to the dealership account, through that, but absolutely not through any page that they set up for the dealership as themselves.
Great advice. Melissa, good luck with that. Hope it turns out okay for you. If you have any follow-up questions, let us know. All right. Oh, she already wrote in. Thanks. All right. Next question comes from Tim. Tim says, how is using HTML format better than JPEG? Greg?
Since HTML is website code and JPEG is an image, I'm not really quite sure what the point of his question is. If he could type back in and clarify, that might help us answer.
All right, Tim, help us out. All right, but we are going to go to this next question from Bruce. He says, question for Greg. Can you give us some advice or tips and tricks on how to create quality links for our sites? It's the one area of SEO that I really struggle with. Again, that's from Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce, if you come see me speak on Monday, I'll tell you. There's my answer.
Okay, but also,
no,
let me just say, I know you covered this in your last webinar with me. You didn't cover it, you know, maybe we should do a whole webinar with that, but.
Yeah, I mean, I really could do a whole webinar. There's so much that you can do. I would definitely point you to Search Engine Land. I wrote an article on my monthly column there in the local section of Search Engine Land probably 3 or 4 months ago. That's pretty in-depth about what to do to get really good quality links. But just to kind of summarize that, what's important is to go after local links. So with traditional SEO, the link builders are going to tell you you only want to try to get links from sites that are really big, that have a lot of value, so that those links are going to pass more juice or more value to your site when you get those links. But since we're talking about local SEO and going the extra mile, what's actually really important for local SEO is to get links from local websites, because that reinforces that you're a local business. So the more links you can get from real local websites, the better you're going to do. So kind of my quotable thing that I always say is, we really love the crappy little church websites because they don't have a lot of value, they probably don't have a lot of traffic, they're probably not even that pretty of a website, but because it's so hyper-local, that link carries a lot of local relevancy. So, you know, pay attention to the relationships that you've built over the years, the other businesses that you tend to do business with a lot, the other vendors that you know that are local, friends that you have that have businesses. You know, take advantage of the things that your dealership is already doing. You're probably like every other dealership, and you do golf tournaments, and you do events, and you have sponsorships, and you're members of local organizations. Mine all of those relationships and all those things that you're doing, and go the extra mile and get links out of them. And those links can be really, really powerful, and it's not that hard to get them. If you're already going to be a sponsor of a golf tournament, most of the time they're probably not going to give you a link, but if you ask for it, they'll go, oh yeah, sure, we'll put you on the site. I mean, same thing with any sort of sponsorship, 5K races, anything like that. It's usually really easy to get a link from those people, and it's a valid link too, because you're a part of that organization, because you're helping with the event, so it makes sense to have that link back to you. So that link footprint looks really good to Google.
So arguably, this is not the easiest thing. I mean, when it comes to your overall SEO plan, this is getting those links is not one of those easily automatic things, but it's worth doing, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the link part of the puzzle is probably the biggest, most difficult piece.
All right, Bruce, you're not alone, my friend.
A lot of effort and time.
Yeah. All right, we have some more questions from Bruce coming up in a little bit, but right now we have a couple of poll questions. We're going to do one of them right now, audience. We'd love to see if you could get involved with our poll questions so we know what's happening at your dealership. And your first of two poll questions is on the screen now. Please answer it. Here's the question. If DealerOn offered a one-day digital marketing workshop near your dealership, what topics would you be most interested in? Please select one of the following options. Is it SEO and SEM, website conversion, Google Analytics, fixed ops marketing, or social media and reputation management? That is a great question. If DealerOn offered a one-day digital marketing workshop near your dealership, what topics would you be most interested in? SEO and SEM, website conversion, Google Analytics, fixed ops marketing, social media, or reputation management? Once we get a majority of those votes in, we're going to close the poll and share the results. And, almost everyone has voted. You guys are awesome. I'll leave it open just for another couple of seconds. Carrie, hey, how you doing? She says, great advice, Greg. She likes the advice you're giving out. And, hey, Byron, everything is well, except for this hurricane. I hope I see you guys over in Vegas, all right? All right, well, let's close this poll, and let's share the results. All right, 43% of today's audience said they'd be most interested in SEO and SEM. 14% said website conversion. 21% said that they're interested in Google Analytics. Only 7% says that fixed ops marketing is where it's at. And the remaining 14% said they need to know more about social media and reputation management. All right, guys, does that help you out?
Yep, absolutely. Good info. Thanks for the feedback.
Good info. Okay, here we go. Let's get to another question. By the way, we heard back from Tim, who wanted to know about HTML and JPEG, and he said he was told that HTML scores better with Google. Greg?
I still don't really know how to answer that because you can't. You're comparing two completely different things. HTML is code and JPEG is just an image file. So you can't really. It's like comparing hamburgers to lug nuts on a tire. Like they're so completely different. I don't really know what he's saying.
Well, Tim,
now, maybe potentially he's asking about having content inside of a JPEG or content on your HTML page, and if that's his question, then you definitely want to have all of your text on the actual HTML code part of the page and not inside of a JPEG, because Google can't see it if it's in a JPEG, so maybe that's what he's asking. But if that's not it, I would definitely need more clarification because that's not really something you compare.
All right, Tim, we really want to help you.
Maybe relative to the image tag within JPEG?
Well, and you know,
perhaps
Jeff wrote in, I think what he's saying is text in general better with scoring better than with Google rather than having an image with text in it.
Yeah, if you've got text in your image, Google can't see it.
Oh.
So it's really simple. You don't want to have, and we see this a lot with dealerships that will have a slider with 25 images at the top of their home page because they expect people to sit on their home page for 15 minutes and just wait through the slider because they don't have better things to do. But that's another question. But they'll have this slider with all these slides in it that have tons of text on it, and then there's like 2 sentences on the page, and they wonder why they don't rank well in Google. It's because Google can't see the text that's in your images.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Jeff, thank you for the clarification. And Tim, I hope that helps you out. Of course, we're always here to help, so right back on in and let us know what else we can help you with. All right, next question comes in from Joe. Joey, how you doing? Joe says, does DealerOn recommend any website add-ons? Shaun, is that for you? Can you help us with that?
Sure, I can take that one. Yeah, so I'll say the one that's probably most current for us in terms of a recommendation, and it's free to all of our dealers, is Car Story, there are a lot of add-ons, and so usually our dealers are the ones calling us and saying, hey, we want to add Pure Cars, or we want to add a credit app, or there's a whole bunch of them. Black Book Online. But more recently, Car Story, within the last few months, had reached out to us. We had a conversation with them, and their inline market report, as they call it, is really, really great used car merchandising information. And so we actually got together their development team and ours, and we basically made that inline report to look, the way that it should within a DealerOn site. So is it, in terms of a bunch of recommendations? Not really, but Car Story is one that we absolutely are telling dealers that it's a great idea to add to your site. Can certainly help with conversion. And at the same time, when this kind of question comes up, we always tell dealers not to oversaturate your SRPs and VDPs with website add-ons, because the A/B testing that we relentlessly pursue and basically trying to have the highest conversion rates in the industry tell us that when you put too many add-ons, especially in places like the VDP, it actually seriously compromises your conversion results. So pick one, perhaps, that enhances what you're trying to get the consumer to take action on, and go from there. And as far as a recommendation, definitely Car Story is one to look at, but that doesn't mean that some of the others aren't good as well. Hopefully that's helpful information.
Thank you so much. Great answer. And Joe, if you have a follow-up question, hey, send it on in. All right, gentlemen, your next question comes to you from Byron. He says, same perspective, is it better to have one website versus multiple websites, even if it's not DealerOn, he writes? He says the OEMs are putting pressure on the one OEM-sponsored website.
Yes. So
that's from Byron.
I don't want to offend any OEMs, because I know all of them participate here on the DealerOn weekly webinar. But I can't think of a time where the OEMs have been the thought leaders around digital marketing or websites, right? So you'd have to have several bourbons in me for me to agree that having just your one forced down your throat website was the best strategy. Why would I say that? Because DealerOn has proven otherwise over and over and over. We could have an interesting question, like, guess which website companies we take more business from on a monthly basis. Well, so I don't think that's a good strategy, so enough sarcasm, and that's always free from me and Gifford. He's probably maybe even a better.
I'm not sarcastic at all, ever.
Yeah. Whatever.
He's a straight shooter. But I think maybe to Byron's point, are you diluting anything by having numerous websites?
Well, no, because when you have numerous websites, you can actually own more real estate on page 1 of Google, right? You can actually optimize. You can actually have 2 separate search campaigns to those sites. You can't have multiple search campaigns to one site. You can have different ad copy, but it's the same campaign. But if you have 2 different properties, if you have a blog that's on a separate URL, you can also promote that. So think of it this way. If you had Donald Trump money, do you want to own one tower on the block, or do you want to own the whole block? So you want to own the whole block. Well, how do you do that? It's by having a web presence that includes multiple properties that you optimize effectively. And that means, yeah, you're going to have to think about the effort that goes into optimizing all of those properties. But is it worth it? Well, if it crowds out your competition because they're not thinking that progressive, they're not being aggressive in their marketing strategy, that's what you're in business to do, is to put the pressure on them to take all the business for yourself, all the available, whatever brand you sell. It's a numbers game. There's only a certain number of people that are going to buy a Ford Mustang in the Dallas area in the next 30 days. Well, if you can be the Ford dealer that dominates every place somebody would look, searching for a Ford Mustang and where they want to buy it, well, it makes all the sense in the world that you would do that. So I don't want to oversimplify it. I'll just say that I would disagree that having one single website, especially one that's mandated, that you basically are sharing the design and development on behalf of every other dealership that sells your brand, because that's the strategy there, without a lot of differentiation at your fingertips, I would never tell a business that that's a good strategy. And when it comes to optimizing your entire web presence, the more property you can own on the block, the better.
Well, thank you for that. So you heard him, Byron. He wants you to diversify your portfolio, let's say.
Even if you don't have a DealerOn site, it's perfectly fine. But to just have one, the dealer that's going to say, well, I'm not just going to have one, will beat you.
Yeah, and Byron is definitely one of the more progressive people in the auto industry. So Byron, I know you're going to make the right choice. I'm sure of it. All right, let's move on to our next question. Another one from Bruce. Bruce writes in, question for Greg, is now that Google has gone to the 3-pack for local business listings, do you think their next step is to monetize those 3 spots and make us bid for the top 3 spots? Greg, he's asking you to prognosticate.
You know, actually, if you come to my session on Monday, I'll answer this question. Don't shake your head at me, Shaun. That was funny.
I know it was funny.
They are already testing that in the San Francisco area with some service-oriented businesses. Will they do it for everyone? Who's to say? I don't know. A lot of us in local are kind of expecting that that's the direction that things will go. I really hope it doesn't go that direction because, sure, it makes Google more money, but it doesn't provide a better user experience for people using Google. And while Google needs to make money, they have to balance it with creating the best user experience, because the worst thing they could do is make a change like that starts providing awful answers because the crappy guys are willing to drop a bunch of money to be #1, and now people don't trust the search results, so they bounce and they start using Bing, and Bing gains a ton of share and Google tanks. So hopefully they're not going to go that direction, but the fact that they're testing it already does not bode well.
By the way, follow-up question, Byron, and I'm sure he's not the only one, they want to know what time you're speaking on Monday.
I'm at 1:30 on Monday, and I'm in the main keynote hall this time because the last few digital dealers, actually for the last 3 years now, there's never enough chairs in any of the rooms, and people are pulling chairs from other rooms, and they just decided to stick me in the big keynote area this time, so there's plenty of room.
Well deserved. And Shaun, when are you speaking? Might as well tell me.
I might as well not even show up now because
stop.
he has a better beard, and he's obviously the new shiny button, so nobody cares.
Shut up, Shaun. What time are you speaking?
Yeah, you can, if you don't, have the agenda set out and you're going to Digital Dealer, you definitely want to check out Greg, but I also am going to tell you should go check out Mike DeVito, and yes, you can come and see me as well. Greg and I are actually doing a keynote breakfast panel on Tuesday morning, and we're doing that with a couple of rock star women in automotive, Jennifer Briggs and Bobby Heron.
Yeah, I was so excited to read about that.
They just called us out on Facebook too, by the way, Shaun, so you need to go check Facebook in a minute and see what they said.
Yeah, just tell them I'm kind of trying to do something right now. I'm a little busy.
We're a little busy for the next, I don't know, half hour.
demanding chicks. Wow. Anyway, that's going to be great. And then I am doing a presentation with Joe Webb. He and I are doing something called CSI Dealership. And we're going to talk to you about all the things that are killing your sales and reputation. So if you're at Digital Dealer, definitely come by. See us at the booth if you can't make it to our presentations, although I think
look at this.
Probably the best presenters probably in the industry. I don't know that we've ever disappointed an audience. If we have, we'll give you 50 cents.
If you want to get into our party, we just got these in. Temporary tattoos.
Oh my God, they're so cool.
The VIP section of our party next week on Tuesday. If you want in the super exclusive, awesome VIP section, you'll have to have one of these tattoos somewhere on your body. and show it to get into the VIP
Oh my
area.
gosh, that's so
make
funny.
sure you stop by the booth and get one.
That's so funny because
Yeah,
John actually wrote in, I'm going to Digital Dealer. How do I get an invite to your party?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. So any of you that are going, or if you have dealer friends that are going, you may want to pass on this information. So the party it's Tuesday night, is this big, huge party, and it's probably the most amazing nightclub place in Vegas. It is incredible. And inside of that party, there will be a huge DealerOn section. And you can go to that party for free. If you don't have information about it, you can get it from the Digital Dealer Conference website. You can email me or Greg, Shaun at DealerOn, Greg at DealerOn, or G. Gifford at DealerOn, and we'll give you info on that. But here's the thing. To get into our VIP area that Greg was just talking about, you need to stop by our booth or tackle a DealerOn employee during Digital Dealer, and we'll give you one of those cool tattoos. It's a temporary tattoo, so you just put some water on it. There they are. And you will put that little guy on your wrist or your neck or wherever you want to put it.
Yes, neck tattoos are welcome.
That will
Or
get you
arm.
into our, that's right. That'll get you into our VIP section, and you definitely want to come by for that because we're going to have some surprises in that part of our booth as well that you'll just have to come to find out what those surprises are.
Gifford, how are we going to find Gifford's tattoos? He's got tattoos all over his body. So.
Well, if
I've
you
only
come to
got
the
this little
VIP
thing
booth,
right here
that's
on the
what we're
inside
going
of that
to
one, so I can put it somewhere else.
Okay.
The VIP booth, you will get to see where Greg puts his temporary tattoo. He's actually going to wear 5 of them.
All right. Well,
I'll
tell you what.
Called Connect the Dots.
We have still a good handful of questions to get to. So before we do that, let's launch our second and final poll question of the day. It's on your screen now, audience. We'd love your feedback on this. Please let us know if DealerOn offered a one-day digital marketing workshop near your dealership. Would you attend? Well, inquiring minds want to know. So would you attend? Please select one of the following answers. Yes, within 100 miles. Yes, within 50 miles. No, I live at the dealership. No, I don't think my boss would let me. Or maybe it depends on the topics. All right, audience, we need to know if DealerOn offered a one-day digital marketing workshop near your dealership, would you go? Yes, within 100 miles. Yes, within 50 miles. No, I live at the dealership. No, my boss has me chained to the desk. Or maybe it depends on the topics. Once we get a majority of the votes in, we're going to close the poll and share the results. And real quick, Shaun, I know you probably can't answer this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. But Byron says he wants to know what other OEM relationships are in the works, just like the Kia one you just announced. And I'm going to go on a limb and say I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to say that. But why don't you say it so that we're for sure?
Yeah, so those secrets are kept right here if you can see my camera.
No, they can't see your camera just yet, but I'll tell you what, I'll close the poll.
Okay.
I'll close the poll so that they can see you. There you go. In the mystery machine, really?
Yeah, we have to keep all of those things in the mystery machine. Yeah, to be quite honest with you, and any of the companies that we friendly compete with in our industry would say the same thing. So there are very strict guidelines, non-disclosure agreements regarding those things. So we're certainly involved in a lot of things, but it's one of those things that almost sounds like, if I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Okay. Well,
that we just can't say. It compromises way too much for us to share. But we're certainly working on a lot of different things that have to do with OEMs and some. It's just really exciting stuff. So
excellent.
It sounds really cheesy and promotional, but for DealerOn in the last 12 to 16 months, a lot of those things have been really exciting for us, and they've just turned into other opportunities. So there are a lot of good things coming. We just really can't say much about them.
But don't worry, as soon as we can say them, You'll be hearing about
Absolutely.
it, right? There you go.
Absolutely.
All right. So let's get to the poll results. Just so you know, reminder of the question: if DealerOn offered a one-day digital workshop near your dealership, would you attend? 53% of today's audience said yes, within 100 miles. Whoa, bam! Now, an additional 20% said they would go too if it was within 50 miles. No one said no. And then we have 27%, the remaining 27% of today's audience said maybe. It depends on the topics. All right, Shaun, just so you know, I know you like that question. All right.
I do like that question, and obviously the audience may be interested. The reason why we're asking that question, to be very honest, is we're considering how we might be able to get out there regionally but in person, and who from our staff might make sense. And getting that information far in advance is really important, because especially with Greg, because he's all over the place traveling and speaking at conferences outside of automotive, inside of automotive. And there are a few others in the company that we do a lot of speaking engagements throughout the year, but we want to figure out how we might be able to look at that in 2016. So that's why we're asking that question.
Excellent. All right. We have a handful of questions left, so let's get to them because we're coming up quickly to the top of the hour. All right, next question comes from Scott. He says, my dealership is considering taking our SEM efforts in-house. What recommendations can you give to dealers running SEM themselves? Shaun,
okay.
Is that good for you?
That's a perfect question for me.
All right, that's from Scott.
If you go to Shaun's talk on Tuesday, he'll answer that question.
You are shameless,
really.
Double G.
But that's not true in my case, because I'm not actually talking about SEM, although I can. I've done a million presentations on paid search. But yeah, I can help you out with that question. So we definitely have a handful of dealers that actually handle their paid search in-house. I haven't seen, and I don't want to be mean to any of them that are doing that or insensitive, I haven't seen anybody doing it in-house that's very sophisticated. Our team, guys that work for me on my team, we actually have been doing these free paid search analysis for the last several months, and so we uncover a lot of different deficiencies with how campaigns are being run. From an in-house perspective, I'll tell you the biggest concern, and what I would I guess encourage you to do, is make sure that you go through AdWords certification, but also Google Analytics certification. Make sure that you actually connect your AdWords and your analytics accounts, and then get all of the training you can get from Google on how to set up campaigns, and then even go outside of Google and probably follow places like Search Engine Land, Search Engine Watch. Search Engine Watch you can filter by all articles and information that are SEM related or paid PPC related, just like you can do with SEO. But you have to kind of pick up a spoon and teach yourself a lot, because AdWords used to be really, it was pretty easy to use. But in the last 2 to 3 years, it's no longer super easy to use. Knowing how to rotate your ads, schedule your ads, not just based on, when they should show up, but how often they should show up, knowing how to set up call-only campaigns, knowing how to set up RLSA, which is basically remarketing lists for search ads. There's a lot more complexity to doing it in-house today than there ever has been. So I would say make sure that you're really up on just educating yourself on some of those tips and tricks. If you go to the digital dealer conferences, there's usually always a person or two that are sharing different concepts, whether it's ad group structure and how to set that up properly, or whether it's regarding how to improve your impression share. There's a lot of different complexities that exist today with AdWords if you're going to do it yourself. So I would say beef up on your education. My team here, just like Greg's team on the SEO side, they're constantly feeding on educational material, making sure that we're out in front of it. And you have to do that. You have to be a student of the game, because it evolves and changes on a regular basis.
All right. Hey, by the way, Shaun, great answer, by the way. Could you move that slide to maybe something else, maybe our Twitter slide or something like that? We do still have 5 more questions to get to and not a lot of time. So let's see if we can button this thing up in the next 10 minutes or so. Your next question, gentlemen, comes to you from Mike. He says, are there any free tools available to help me with citation management? Ooh, Greg, I know you are the master at citations. What do we do to help Mike with free tools to help him with citation management?
There's not really any good free tools to help with citation management. There's some free tools that will help you kind of check the status of your citations, but anything that really is going to work well, you've really got to pay money for. Now, the good news is most of these are, $20 a month. But you can use Moz Local if you go to moz.com/local/search. That will let you run a search on the top 15 citation sources and let you know how you're doing and see what's going on there. There's a lot of different kind of free tools out there. Yext has a tool that lets you run a search and see how you're doing on the partner sites that Yext feeds their stuff to. So there's some different kind of free tools. You can run a little quick check, but if you're actually talking citation management and working citations, I don't know of any free tool out there. I mean, Ezell, but honestly, you need to buck up and spend the $20 to $25 a month to use a tool like WhiteSpark or Bright Local that's going to really help you do what you need to do.
Okay, all right. And Greg, I know I have to let you go soon, so I was going to ask you one more question before you leave. And audience, keep hanging in there because we're about to give away that Amazon Echo, and you don't want to miss out on that. All right, Greg, last question for you comes from Nick. He says, I just became the quote-unquote reputation guy at our dealership. It's a Kia dealership. Our Google reviews aren't that bad, 4.3 stars. But we have less than 20 reviews, and my primary competitors have more than 100 reviews. How important is the number of reviews, and how do I get more quickly? Can you help out, Nick?
Reviews,
yeah.
It's hugely important if your competitors have that many more than you. So if you guys are sitting at less than 20 and most of the other guys that are nearby have in the 100 to 200 range, then this would be a huge priority for you because it doesn't really matter what your score is if everybody else has a lot more reviews than you. It makes you look new, or it just makes it look like you don't have that many customers coming to you. So I would make that a humongous priority for you guys. I would definitely try to make sure that you're getting good reviews now, because if you've got less than 20 reviews, and what was his score, 4.3?
He said 4.3 stars, yes.
Yeah, so if you're trying to go from a 4.3 to a 4.4 and you've got less than 20 reviews, you can do that with 1 or 2 reviews. But once you get to the range of 300 or 400 reviews and you want to go from a 4.3 to a 4.4, it takes a ton more 5-star reviews to get that 1 decimal point jump up. So really concentrate on getting 5-star perfect reviews so that it bumps your score up early. And then just on getting those reviews, you want to make sure that you have equal to or more reviews than any of your competitors. So what we typically suggest is setting up a page on your site that the whole staff at the dealership knows to send people to. So, domain.com/reviews. And everybody at the dealership knows to send people to that page. And then on that page, you have the ability to change the link to whatever you want. So initially, you're going to target Google. Then you may want to add the option for DealerRater or eBay or Cars.com or anything like that. But starting off for you guys, you would just have the link to Google there. And so you send people to the page, and it has a link directly to your Google page, so they don't have to figure out how to go look you up and figure out what to do. It links them directly there. You can also have messaging on the page that lets them know they have to be signed into Google to leave the review, so that you kind of lessen that hurdle for them. And then you make sure that everybody at the dealership asks for reviews. And then you can even print out some handouts. We like to do 4x6 branded postcards, but you can use anything. And then you want to have on that handout the whole kind of messaging of thanks for doing business with us. We'd love it if you'd leave us a review. Please go to domain.com/reviews to leave us those reviews, and then it points them to that page. And then make sure that your team is handing those cards out at the very last possible moment. So if it's a service visit, they're paying, they're about to get back in their car, you ask for the review, you give them the card. If they're buying a car, it is the final handshake when they're about to jump in the car and drive away that you say, oh, by the way, We'd love it if you'd let us know how we did today. Here's how you can do so. And that's the last thing you give them. If you do it earlier, it gets lost in the shuffle and nothing's going to happen.
Gotcha.
And also, you know their contact info because they're either in the system as a service visit or the sales guy is sitting across the desk and has their information. Anybody that has a Gmail address definitely needs to be hit up for a review because you know that they have a Google account already, so it's much less of a hurdle for those people to leave reviews for you.
Carrie wrote in, what about a contest among salespeople and reward whoever gets the most and best reviews?
And what's the first thing that's going to happen with that? Your sales guys are going to fake reviews. And you think that won't happen, but I've seen it happen time and time again. I actually have examples of this. If you come see me on Monday. No, I really do. There was a dealership I worked with in Albuquerque, I think it was, and the guy decided to spit the sales guys $50 for each review that showed up on Google that had the sales guy's name mentioned in it. And I said, dude, those guys are going to fake reviews. It's a free $50. He's like, oh, no, they won't do that. Sure enough, what happened? There were 2 sales guys that just started faking reviews for every single person that came in. They went and created a Google account and posted a fake review. Google can figure that out very quickly that you're writing fake reviews. It's against the law to do so, so if you get caught doing it, you could get hundreds of thousands of dollars of fines. It's just not worth it. You need to get real reviews because the customers want to leave a review. I was at the Internet Battle Plan thing last week in Detroit, and somebody said, I don't remember who it was that said it. I'm sorry to whoever it was that said it, but they said that 9 out of 10 people would be willing to leave a review for a business if they had a good experience at that business if they were only asked to leave that review. So 90% of people are willing to leave you a good review if they have a good experience if you only ask them to do it, but most businesses don't ask. But then, so out of that 90% that said that they would leave a review, only 7% of them were asked to leave a review. So it's not that hard to get reviews. You just have to make sure that you're really diligent in asking the people to leave a review and asking them at the right time.
Wow. All right. Well, Carrie was very bummed that the salespeople would do that. And then Chris wrote in, I actually have a dealer I just caught leaving fake reviews as well as his employees. I guess they didn't realize it would publish their entire names based on their Google account. Whoops, LOL.
Dude,
So
can you send me a link? I would love to get a screen capture of that to use in presentations. So if Gifford@DealerOn.com, please send me a link to that. I'd love to see it.
Chris, you heard the man. We're counting on you. Also, Jeff wrote in, Jeff, you're going to be at Digital Dealer, right? He wanted to know your ideas on how to get more off-site links. And I was wondering if you were going to be talking about that in your session on Monday.
I mention it briefly. I don't really dig into it because I try to squeeze in a whole lot of info because I'm talking about the new local search ranking factor study. So I talk about it briefly, but I don't dive into it. That's a really long conversation.
Yeah, that might have to be a whole nother webinar for us. But I'll tell you what, Jeff, stop by booth 505 and let's see if we can't hook you up with a private conversation with Greg where he can help you out personally, okay? And Chris says, no problem, Greg. I got you covered. So he'll be sending that information over to you. Greg, thank you so much for being here. The rest of my questions are for Shaun, so I'm going to let you go, and I will see you in Vegas, baby. Take care. All right, Shaun, you ready to carry this home for the TD?
Apparently it's me.
It's
yeah,
you, baby.
Let's do it.
I got all the faith in the world in you. All right, Shaun, last couple of questions are for you. Let's go to this one from Alicia. Alicia says, I've been speaking to an agency that wants to manage my Google AdWords, both SEM and display. Are there advantages to having the same company do both my website and SEM? That's from Alicia.
Alicia, the short answer is yes, there are advantages to having the same company that provides your website also handle those digital marketing services. But that's the simple answer. So DealerOn, actually, we have a handful of really great partnerships with agencies. So I don't want to say anything that's critical of any of them because a lot of them do great work. Dealerships definitely can take advantage of agencies in terms of creative and design and material like that. That's really difficult to create in-house. But for our purposes, the reason why we actually built out a paid search platform, SEM platform, as well as display advertising, retargeting, remarketing, all those things. The reason why we kind of bolstered and completely retrofit a brand new SEO strategy with Greg Gifford at the helm was because there is an absolute advantage in being able to control the conversion path of where these advertising campaigns land the traffic. You've probably heard the term deep linking. So sometimes deep linking is a good strategy. You can take somebody from a paid search campaign, from a display ad directly into a vehicle detail page or a search result page, or in a lot of cases a specific landing page within the site. Again, just trying to make sure that the conversion path, what actually got the person to click or to start the path, landing them in a destination that continues to meet their need and their expectation. Well, when your website provider, and this is, not all website providers that provide these services are actually good at those services. They might be great at the website, but they're not so good at the rest of it. But if your website provider is good, very capable, competent around digital marketing and how they actually execute, it is absolutely an advantage for those two things to be under the same roof, without a doubt.
Oh, okay. Alicia, great question. Thank you so much for that. Okay, your last question, Shaun, comes to you from Jennifer. She says, I'm trying to take advantage of DealerOn's free SEM analysis, but when I contacted my current SEM provider requesting access to AdWords, they pretty much told me no. Do they have to provide this, and can you guys do the analysis without AdWords access? This is for Jennifer.
Interesting. Jennifer, I think I know what store you're calling from, actually, because one of my guys had told me about that. So, well, one, good that you're taking advantage of that. We've been running a couple of advertising campaigns offering that. Some of you that have been on the webinar, you've probably heard us promoting that a little bit. So I'm glad you're taking advantage of it. To get to your question, so if you don't want to look this up yourself, I will be happy to send you a link if you email me. But yes, in terms of the AdWords, Google's AdWords guidelines, if you are a company that's providing AdWords service, you're running AdWords on behalf of another company, and that company asks you for access to the AdWords account, you are obligated to give them that information. But even though that is stated in Google's own AdWords guidelines, we run into this all the time, especially now that we're doing these free analysis for dealers on paid search. And I'm not going to name the companies, but I would say that internally they're what we would consider call the usual suspects. They will not give you access to the AdWords account. They will not pass that on. Well, for us, gaining access to the AdWords access is what allows us to do a very deep analysis. So your other question, I think, was can we do it without AdWords access?
Yes.
We can with access to Google Analytics. We at least need to be able to peek at your analytics to get some. What happens is our SEM analysis is, there are like 17 or 18 points that our team goes through, from your campaign structure, what type of ad groups are set up, your ad rotations, are you doing any call only, what's your mobile stuff look like, are you doing bid adjustments on different, I mean, there's a lot, it's very extensive, and we can't get to some of those without AdWords access, but we can get a base level to at least have a conversation on some of the things that are a little bit higher level with analytics. So one, whoever's running your paid search, yes, they are supposed to give you access if you ask for it. When they say no, that's a big red flag. If you don't have access to your AdWords account, somebody doesn't want you to know how they're spending your money is pretty much what's going on there. So with DealerOn, it's fully transparent. You can have access to all of that, and it's all above board, which is the way that it should be run. So yes, they should be giving you access. I can send you the Google documentation or lead you to the page where it says that if you need that ammunition. Once again, email me at Shaun, S-H-A-U-N, at DealerOn.com. I'd be happy to pass that on to you. We can do a minimal amount of the analysis with just analytics access, just not as deep.
I got it. All right, audience, thank you so much for all of those great questions. I need Greg to allow my email to go through. Got rejected because of the security policy. Shaun, what's Greg's email address? Isn't it G Gifford,
It's
right?
It's G Gifford.
G Gifford
at DealerOn.com. Yep.
G Gifford at DealerOn.com. Try that, and if it doesn't go through, then send it to Shaun at SHAUN at DealerOn.com. We'll get it over to Greg for you. Okay, Chris? Thank you so much for doing that.
Yep.
Carrie wrote in, see, we needed the short beard to bring it home. There you go, Shaun. All right, audience, I know you have been so patient. You've been awesome. You answered our poll questions. You sat here for a whole entire hour. It's that time, baby cakes. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, well, I announced some great news. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win an awesome prize today. DealerOn is giving away an Amazon Echo. That's right. This newly released voice command device from Amazon.com has functions including question answering, playing music, controlling smart devices. It even tells you the weather. I mean, this thing is awesome. It is the hottest tech device on the market right now, and it could be yours. So get ready, get to your keyboards. First one to write in the correct response is going to be winning this amazing prize today. I am so jealous. I wish I could win this. And of course, as always, we really do appreciate all of you vendors. I know there's a lot of you out there who come every week and listen to our webinars, and we so do appreciate you. But please, if you wouldn't mind, please sit this one out. This prize is intended for dealership personnel. We do, of course, appreciate your attendance, and of course, are looking forward to seeing you at Digital Dealer. But here we go. Good luck, everyone. I hope you're fast typers, people. On this day in 1908, Ford unveiled this vehicle. Name that vehicle. That's right. I knew somebody was going to get it. Chris Franklin, you are our winner. Model T. That is correct. Chris Franklin, not a first-time winner on my show, I might add. Chris Franklin has very fast fingers. Chris, tell me again what dealership you're from, my love. I forget already. I know you switched dealerships, didn't you? Oh, yeah. Oh, you're at Porter Auto Group. Porter Auto Group. Congratulations, Chris. And please, if you wouldn't mind, send me your mailing address. We're going to need that to get that Amazon Echo out to you. Of course, DealerOn would like to thank everyone for playing along. Huge congratulations to today's winner, Chris Franklin from Porter Auto Group. And audience, don't worry. Guess what? We give away cool prizes every week. So come on back to another DealerOn webinar, and that could be your lucky day to win another awesome prize, courtesy of your friends at DealerOn. Of course, I got to thank our members of the DealerOn Executive Team. DealerOn, of course, we have Greg Gifford and Shaun Rains. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Q4 Marketing Briefing. You guys were awesome, as of course I knew you would be. So I know you want to say goodbye to the audience. Go ahead.
It's my pleasure. I always enjoy being on the webinar series. And yeah, thank you guys. I mean, on a weekly basis, we have so many people that come to the webinar, and we really appreciate it. So thank you very much for participating. And for any of you guys that are going to be in Vegas for Digital Dealer, please come by and say hello. We always love to meet you guys in person. So thanks for being here, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what, audience, we're going to be closing out this webinar, and when we do, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out. It's really short, 6 sentences, okay? We want to know what you thought of today's presentation, and give us as much feedback as you can. We're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. And I want to let you know, yeah, that's right, we've been talking about it a lot today. DealerOn's going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming Digital Dealer Convention in Vegas, baby. If you're going to be there, I'm going to be there. I'd love to meet you. Stop by our booth, 505, say hi. And while you're getting your Digital Dealer on, check out the speaking sessions from these DealerOn executives. Remember, it's booth 505. Can't wait to see you there. And when you stop by our booth, yeah, you got a few things you got to get. You got to get a T-shirt. All right, so that you can have your one of 2 chances to win an Apple Watch. The contest begins when you get your T-shirt and take a picture of yourself in it. That's right. The details are on the screen now, but you got to use hashtag DD19 and hashtag GetItOn, and then tag us at DealerOn, and you're going to be automatically entered to win an Apple Watch. We're going to give away 1 Apple Watch every day of Digital Dealer. And while you're at booth 505, pick up your cool pass, it's actually a tattoo, to the always must-attend awesome digital dealership appreciation after party. It's Monday night, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Dre's. And we just want to know, if you're ready to party with the big boys, then we'll see you there. Remember, it's booth 505 to get that free ticket. And invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next Dealer On webinar. And it's a doozy, let me tell you. Stop wasting time. Make more money now. It's that simple. Let me ask you something. Do you get out of bed and the thought of going to work completely depresses you? But you do it because you need the money, hoping that maybe today you'll get lucky and make a sale or two. Do you buy lottery tickets and pray that this is the one that makes you rich? Are you unhappy, unfulfilled, and going through the motions to just get by? Well, for millions of people, that is exactly their life. But it doesn't have to be. We brought in successful entrepreneur Jerry Tebow. He's going to tell you how to live your best life now. He knows because that miserable existence I just described was once his life. And that time is precious, and there's no better time than now to make more money. In this stirring 1-hour webinar, Jerry's going to show you step by step what you need to do every day to create wealth. After all, it worked for him. And once you hear what he has to say, you'll no longer be just an average salesperson. Instead, you'll be able to dominate your profession and make others envious of your triumphs. Join this presentation, follow his advice, and achieve success like never before. You want to win the lottery? Create your own lottery and take charge of your life. This incredible presentation promises to be a game changer. If you're ready to stop wasting time and make more money now, then this is one webinar you simply can't afford to miss. Don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held Thursdays, 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you have any questions, hey, my name is Amirrezvani. I'd love to hear from you. Track me down online, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, or any of the automotive social networks. I'm on all of them. Or email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today. I hope to see you all on another webinar in DealerOn's continuing education series. Take care.